Cassowaries are large, flightless birds found in Australia and New Guinea. They have the reputation of being the world's deadliest bird, even though their kill count pales to that of the common ostrich. While they certainly can be ferocious when provoked, they are typically shy, hiding in the dense rainforest where they live. As usual, a document with the sources for the images used, along with research papers I found useful, will be included in the description of this video. Historically, cassowaries were placed in a group known as the ratites, which included other flightless, large-bodied birds, such as the ostrich, kiwi, and emu. The term is still commonly associated with these birds, but it is now known to be paraphyletic, as it excluded a group that did not fit this definition. Birds are now divided into two infraclasses, the Palaeognathae and the Neognathae. All of the birds once referred to as ratites are in the Palaeognathae, with one notable addition, while all other birds are in the Neognathae. I have discussed the Neognathae in previous videos, but this is the first video on the Palaeognathae, so let's take a moment to examine this infraclass. The Palaeognathae are believed to have diverged from other living birds around 110 million years ago, well before the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs. People sometimes claim that the dinosaurs turned into birds after the rest went extinct, but this is not accurate. Birds coexisted with dinosaurs and were the only lineage of dinosaurs to survive the Cretaceous extinction event. In fact, the earliest animals officially recognized as birds were alive as early as 150 million years ago, at the end of the Jurassic period. Although none of those early birds are alive today, the split between the Palaeognathae and the Neognathae represents the earliest divergence among living birds. The most basal group in this infraclass is the Struthionoforms, or the ostriches, known as the largest birds alive today. This order has two living species, both found in Africa. They are specialized for running, which helps to offset some of the disadvantages of their lack of flight. Next are the rheas in the order Rheaforms. They are the largest birds in South America, and their relationship to ostriches, as well as later members of this infraclass, is immediately apparent. There are 2 to 3 living species, but quite a few known extinct ones. Next are the Tinamous and the Tinamouforms. This group reshaped our understanding of the ratites and proved that ratite was not a monophyletic group. Tinamous can fly, though they prefer to run when possible. They are the only members of the Palaeognathae to have a keel. This is a ridged breastbone where their flight muscles attach. While most birds have a keel, this has been lost in all other Palaeognaths, which makes sense since they are flightless and do not need flight muscles. However, as you can see, Tinamous are nested right in the middle of this clade, and they can fly. This indicates that the ability to fly was likely lost several times within the clade, rather than all of the species being descended from a flightless ancestor. Now, it is believed that their ancestor could fly, and the ability was lost multiple times in different lineages, with only the Tinamous retaining the ability. Their closest relatives are the extinct moa from New Zealand, which is highly interesting for a reason we will explore shortly. Then we come to the kiwi in the order Apterygiformes. As a New Zealander myself, I expect to make a video on these highly unusual birds at some point. This order has 5 living species, all found in New Zealand. The closest relatives to the kiwi are the extinct elephant birds of Madagascar. And now we come to the reason that the relationship between the moa and the Tinamous is so interesting. Like moa, kiwi are endemic to New Zealand. This made it easy to assume that they were each other's closest relative. But, as you can see, this is not the case. The ancestors of both the kiwi and the moa must have each colonized New Zealand independently of each other. The last order is the one we are focusing on today, the Cassowaryformes, which includes the cassowaries and emus. Emus and cassowaries share many similarities. For example, their feathers are double-shafted but lack barbules, the tiny barbs that give most feathers their stiff structure and are important for flight aerodynamics. The absence of barbules makes their feathers resemble hair more than typical bird feathers. Kiwi feathers also lack barbules, but these are present in the other palaeognaths like ostriches and rhea. Unlike kiwi, cassowaries and emus have legs and feet adapted for running. Their strong and muscular legs allow them to reach speeds of up to 50 km per hour or 31 miles per hour. They have 3 toes on each foot, which gives them excellent balance. This is different to the ostriches, which, despite being another paleognath adapted for running, are only distantly related. Ostriches have only 2 toes on each foot and have a very different running technique. The phylogeny of Casuariiformes is somewhat contested, but it is generally accepted that there are 2 families. One of the oldest known paleognaths, Diogenornis, is sometimes included in this order, but it is more commonly placed among the Rheas, so I am not including it among the Casuariiformes. Diogenornis' exact placement is still debated by scientists, however, so this may change again in the future. The first family is Dromaeidae. It contains 2 genera, but the more well-known is Dromaeus, or the emus. Only 1 species is still alive today, but there are 2 known extinct species from this genus. I would love to talk about the emus one day, although I will admit this is largely for an excuse to talk about the Great Emu War, where the Australian military was called in to try and cull emus, but was somehow unsuccessful. Anyway, emus are not the focus of this video, so we will have to come back to this fascinating subject another day. Dromaeidae also contains a second extinct genus, Emuarius. These are commonly called emuaries, a combination of emu and cassowary, their closest living relatives. They lived in Australia about 23 to 16 million years ago. Emuaries appear to represent a transitional stage between the divergence of the emus and cassowaries, with a skull and feet similar to modern cassowaries, but legs closer to a modern emu. This made it difficult to place them phylogenetically, and there is still ongoing research debating their lineage. Regardless, they are likely close to the point of divergence between the 2 lineages. The focus of this video is Casuariidae, more commonly known as the cassowaries. Some scientists argue that there should be a single family, with both emus and cassowaries included as different genera within it, but most agree that they are separate families. The name cassowary comes from Papuan, where it means horned head. This clearly references the casque seen on cassowaries, which is one of their most immediately noticeable differences from the emu. This casque, sometimes known as a helmet, has a bony but hollow core. It is overlaid with tissue containing a complex network of blood vessels. Finally, the outer layer of the casque is covered in a keratin sheath. There are several theories about the purpose of the casque, but most have been debunked. The leading theory is that it facilitates thermal exchange to help regulate their body temperature. The casque is perfect for this, as it has no insulation and contains many blood vessels. Regulating body temperature is a major concern for cassowaries, as they are large, live in the warm tropics, and are mostly covered in insulating feathers. These factors make it likely that they would be at risk of overheating, but this risk is lessened if they can use their casque to cool down. Other animals are known or speculated to have similar structures. For example, basilisks have been found to use their crests for a similar purpose, and dinosaurs like the stegosaurs and ceratopsians are theorized to have used plates or frills for thermal regulation. Cassowary feet are also extremely interesting. If you've heard about the massive sickle-shaped claw on the feet of dromaeosaurs like Velociraptor or Deinonychus, then you might be surprised to learn that cassowaries have something similar. I've always thought that cassowaries looked a little bit like a prehistoric dinosaur, and if someone told me they lived during the Cretaceous period, I wouldn't be surprised. They didn't, of course, but I think they looked like they did. This claw is yet another dinosaur-like attribute. It is not as prominent as the claw in dromaeosaurs, but it is still impressively large. Cassowaries have 3 toes, but the one on the inside of each foot has a dagger-like talon noticeably larger than the others. They use this both to defend themselves and to dig for food. Their muscular legs allow them to run very quickly, even in dense vegetation. They can run at speeds of up to 50 km per hour or 31 miles per hour. They can also jump up to 1.5 meters or just under 5 feet straight up. When attacking, they can charge at their opponent and jump on top of them. As the 3rd heaviest bird in the world, a cassowary is not something you would want jumping on you. They will then use their powerful kicks alongside their claws to eviscerate their opponent. Like most other paleognaths, cassowaries are flightless. They do still have wings, but these are vestigial and hidden under their feathers. However, this does not mean that their wings are useless. Instead, their flight feathers have evolved into 5 to 6 keratinous quills, similar to porcupine quills although they are not barbed. These are believed to help with protection and navigation in dense and thorny forests. The gender roles in cassowaries are likely different to what you expect. as they differ from many other birds. In cassowaries, the females are larger and more colourful. They are polyandrous, meaning that the female will mate with several males. The males build the nest into which the female lays her eggs. She has no further part in protecting the offspring, with the males incubating the eggs and raising the chicks. There is one known prehistoric cassowary species, the pygmy cassowary, Casuarius lidoceri. It is estimated to be a similar size to the extant dwarf cassowary, which grows to around 1.5 metres or 4 foot 11 inches tall. Their fossils have been found in both Australia and New Guinea, although there is some confusion over their exact location. The Australian specimens were reported from New South Wales, but this is now believed to be inaccurate, with a location in Queensland being more likely. This is just a friendly reminder to label any fossils you unearth with their location, so future scientists don't have to debate it. The southern cassowary, Casuarius casuarius, is the most common and well-known cassowary species. It is also known as the double-watted or Australian cassowary. They are found in Australia, but only in the far northeastern part of Queensland. They are more common in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. The exact natural range of the southern cassowary is unclear, as locals traded live cassowaries for hundreds, if not thousands of years. This makes it likely that some islands in mainland Australian populations were started by escaped or deliberately released cassowaries. While various subspecies have been described, their validity is questionable. This is because the southern cassowary exhibits a lot of variation in the shape, colour and size of its wattles and casque. The legitimacy of naming subspecies based on these differences is now in doubt, as coloration can change as the cassowary ages, and morphology seems to have a high degree of individual variation. The southern cassowary is the largest species of cassowary and the third heaviest bird alive today, only after the two species of ostrich. It is the fourth tallest bird, again behind the two ostriches and the emu. This gives it the title of the largest Asian bird, as neither the ostriches nor the emu are found on that continent, at least since the extinction of the Arabian ostrich in the 1960s. Southern cassowaries prefer tropical forests, but will also enter mangroves or savannas near the forest. They are found up to 1,100 metres or 3,600 feet above sea level in Australia, but only up to 500 metres or 1,600 feet in New Guinea. Thus, they are only found in the lowland forests. They are extremely important seed dispersers for many plant species, and are considered a keystone species, meaning that they have a disproportionately large impact on the ecosystem relative to their abundance. Many plant species would likely die out if the cassowary were to go extinct, as it is the only large frugivore in its range capable of dispersing seeds that other animals cannot. In fact, many seeds are specifically designed to pass through the gut of a cassowary. For example, the rare Australian tree, Rhiparosa karangii, has seeds that require a cassowary for successful germination. Weber and Woodrow in 2004 found that germination rates of these seeds had a 92% success rate when dispersed by cassowary, compared to a 4% success rate without. Cassowaries can safely eat fruits poisonous to most other animals, such as the aptly named cassowary plum. These large fruits are swallowed whole by the cassowary. Cassowaries have unusually short intestines, which help to prevent them from being affected by toxins, and their digestive system is gentle, often allowing seeds to pass through with some flesh still attached. Their stomach also contains rare and unusual enzymes, evolved to safely digest fruit. While fruit makes up a large part of their diet, southern cassowaries are omnivores and will also eat fungi, insects, snails, small vertebrates, bird eggs, and carrion. Southern cassowaries are solitary for most of the year, only pairing up during the breeding season in late winter or spring. The males build a nest on the ground using plant material. They make this nest around 5 to 10 centimetres or 2 to 4 inches thick enough to ensure that water will drain out and not damage the eggs. The nest is up to 1 metre or 3 feet wide. The female lays 3 to 4 eggs in this nest and then has no further involvement with the eggs or chicks. She moves to another place in her territory to lay more clutches with different males, laying several clutches with different males in a single breeding season. The male incubates the eggs for around 50 days until they hatch. Cassowary chicks look nothing like the adults, being brown with light-coloured stripes that provide excellent camouflage in the forest by breaking up their outline and making them harder for predators to detect. The male defends the chicks from all perceived threats, attacking viciously. The male will look after the chicks for up to 16 months, although they start becoming independent around 9 months old. The chicks reach sexual maturity at around 3 years old. Despite their dangerous reputation, human deaths from southern cassowaries are very rare. The first recorded instance was in 1926 when one killed a 16-year-old boy. This attack was provoked as the boy and his younger brother attacked the cassowary with clubs. Other known deaths have also occurred but are very rare. A 2006 study found 150 records of cassowary attacks against humans, but only one of these resulted in a human death. Unprovoked attacks are exceptionally rare. Most involved humans trying to feed the cassowary, which attack them for the food, or the cassowary defending itself, its nest, or its chicks. Cassowaries are the only Australian animal known to have been partly domesticated before the arrival of Europeans. In the highlands of New Guinea, some societies capture cassowary chicks and raise them to be semi-tame. These cassowaries are then used in ceremonies or as food. Urbanisation in Australia and Papua New Guinea has led to cassowary habitats becoming cities, towns, or farmland. Surprisingly, cassowaries seem more tolerant of this than some of the other ratites, and will still forage in towns. These urban populations have adapted their diet to incorporate the exotic plants found in the gardens and parks, as well as human scraps. As omnivores, cassowaries can even consume processed human foods, but they still prefer fruit. While their adaptability is beneficial, these urban cassowaries face their own problems, as increased human contact can potentially lead to more attacks. While the southern cassowary is listed as least concerned by the IUCN, the Australian population is considered endangered by the Australian government. The main threats to urban cassowaries are vehicle accidents and dog attacks. Most dogs could not kill an adult cassowary, but pose a threat to chicks and can lead to human retaliation if the dog is injured or dies. Outside cities, their main threat is from feral pigs, which can threaten their eggs and compete for food. Unlike other similarly sized animals, cassowaries are less targeted by human hunters due to their fearsome reputation. Hunting does still occur, but it is rare enough that it is not considered a threat to the population. The northern cassowary, Cassowarius unapendiculatus, is also known as the single-wattled or golden-necked cassowary. It is the cassowary species most recently discovered by Western scientists, with the first recorded sighting in an aviary in India in 1860. Northern cassowaries live in the lowland swamps and coastal forests in the northern half of New Guinea. They are a lowland species, staying at elevations lower than 490 metres or 1600 feet above sea level. They share many similarities with its southern relatives, but the northern cassowary is easily distinguished by its bright orange single wattle. In contrast, southern cassowaries have two wattles that are more red. Northern cassowaries are slightly smaller, standing up to 1.8 metres or 5 foot 11 tall and weighing 44 kilograms or 97 pounds. This is only 1 kilogram lighter than the southern cassowary, so the difference is hard to notice. This makes the northern cassowary the fourth heaviest bird in the world, behind the two ostriches and its southern cousin. Their omnivorous diet is very similar to that of the southern cassowary. They prefer fruits and berries, but will also eat insects, snails, small vertebrates, and carrion. Chicks sometimes eat their father's feces, which can contain undigested fruits due to the gentle digestion system mentioned earlier. Their breeding and reproduction system is also like that of the southern cassowary. The female attracts a mate with her bright colours and lays 3 to 5 eggs into a nest prepared by the male before leaving to breed with more males. The male then incubates the eggs and raises the young. Northern cassowaries are listed as least concerned by the IUCN, a promising change from their previous vulnerable status. This change occurred in 2017, after research determined that their population was much larger than previously thought, possibly up to 20,000 individuals, at least twice as high as earlier estimates. However, their population trend is still declining. Unlike the southern cassowary, hunting is a major concern for the northern cassowary. They heavily hunted near populated areas for their meat, feathers, and bones, which hold cultural significance for the local people, and are often used for decoration or in ceremonies. Deforestation is also a concern. Pango Adams et al. In 2015 found that there was an average of 14 birds per kilometre squared in primary forest, but only 4 per kilometre squared in recently logged forest, and even fewer near human habitations. Deforestation can also indirectly increase the hunting pressure by bringing cassowaries into the open more often. The last species is the dwarf cassowary, Cassowarius beniti. It has several other names, such as Bennett's cassowary, the little cassowary, mountain cassowary, or Muric. As its common name suggests, it is the smallest living cassowary species, but it is still a large bird, ranking 8th on the list of heaviest living birds. They stand up to 1.5 meters or 4 foot 11 tall, weighing up to 26 kilograms or 57 pounds. Aside from their size, they are easy to distinguish from the other cassowary species, as they do not have a wattle. The skin of their neck and head is blue, but they can have pinkish skin on their cheeks. Their casque is small and triangular. Like the other cassowaries, they are found in New Guinea. Unlike their larger relatives, the dwarf cassowary lives in the mountains, typically at around 3,300 meters or 10,800 feet above sea level. While they are usually found in cloud forests, their range seems more restricted by the presence of the other cassowary species than by any environmental factors. In areas where neither the northern nor southern cassowary is found, they become much bolder, frequently descending into the lowland forests or open areas. There are two subspecies of dwarf cassowary. One inhabits most of its range, while the other is only found on the Vogelkop Peninsula in the far northwest of the island. Aside from their distribution, the two subspecies are differentiated by the colour of the back of their head. A third subspecies is theorized to exist, based on a specimen collected in 1875, but its origin is unknown, and a living cassowary matching its features has never been found. Dwarf cassowaries eat similar food to the other cassowaries, with fruit being their main diet, supplemented by invertebrates and small vertebrates. Oddly, dwarf cassowaries have been observed consuming soil, although the reasons for this are unclear. It is hypothesized that they may gain trace elements like iron or phosphorus from the soil. Other birds consume soil for gizzard stones, which help with digestion, but cassowaries do not use gizzard stones, so this is not a good explanation for their behavior. Another theory is that soil consumption might help them eat poisonous fruits by absorbing some of the toxins. The main apex predator in the area is the New Guinea singing dog, but attacks on dwarf cassowaries are very rare. When attacks do occur, the singing dog often ends up being disemboweled by the bird. It is thought that the dogs sometimes follow cassowary trails to prey on the small mammals attracted by the fruit the foraging cassowary drops. The dwarf cassowary is listed as least concern by the IUCN, an improvement from their previous near-threatened status in 2015. The downgrade to least concern occurred because hunting pressures were not as impactful as previously believed. However, hunting is still a major concern in more accessible parts of their range. Other threats include deforestation and predation from pigs and dogs, which endanger their eggs and chicks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Cassowaries are fascinating birds. While generally content to keep to themselves, despite their ferocious reputation, if provoked, they can inflict serious damage or kill almost any human or other animal in their range. These beautiful birds are extremely important in their environment as seed dispersers, and if they were to ever disappear, many plant species would likely follow them into extinction. Thank you for listening, and feel free to suggest another group of animals you want to see me cover in the comments.